Hello and a very warm welcome to Landmark Case Analysis, which is presented to you by Law Seco. This is Ankita Parida here. Let's proceed with today's discussion on the IC Golaknath and others versus State of Punjab case. This is a landmark judgment given by the Honorable Supreme Court of India on 27th February 1967. This judgment was passed by a 11 judge bench. Now let's have a look at the brief background of this case. The Golaknath family was in possession of over 500 acres of land in Jalandhar, Punjab. So, as we know, in the post independence era, when the ceiling of land holdings were put by the government of India, their holding of such a huge chunk of farmland was restricted by the Punjab Security and Land Tenures Act. So, under this act, each brother could hold only 30 acres and some acres would go to the tenants and rest would be declared as surplus. This law was contested by the family in the court and subsequently it was referred to the Supreme Court as they filed a petition under Article 32 challenging that this act violated their fundamental rights. The fundamental rights violated through this article, as mentioned, are right to hold and acquire property, right to practice any profession, and right to equality. So, the issues of law involved in this case are whether amendment is a law under the meaning of Article 13, subclause 2, and whether fundamental rights can be amended or not. So, based on this issue of law, the petitioner argues that Constitution of India as drafted by the Constituent Assembly is of permanent nature and no changes can be brought to it. And the word amendment only implies change in accordance with the basic idea and no altogether new idea can be introduced through an amendment. Thirdly, Article 368 only defines the procedure for amending the Constitution. It does not grant power to the Parliament to amend the Constitution. And most importantly, it argued that fundamental rights, being the essential and integral part of the Constitution, they cannot be amended or taken away by any act of Parliament as they are the soul to the Constitution. Based on this argument, the respondent argues that constitutional amendment is a result of exercise of the sovereign power and it is different from Parliament's power of making laws. Secondly, the very objective of making amendment to the Constitution is to make changes according to the changing needs of the society, else the Constitution will become a very rigid Constitution. Thirdly, no hierarchy was mentioned in the constitutional provision as basic and basic. So therefore, equal importance and equal status is given to all provision of constitution. And fourthly, they argued that this question of amendment is a political question and it should be kept outside the scrutiny of judiciary. Based on this contention, the judgment and reasoning passed by the court are the Supreme Court said the Parliament has no power to curtail fundamental rights and it reversed the earlier decision given by the Supreme Court, which had upheld Parliament power to amend all parts of the Constitution. So, on this Golaknath landmark case, the Supreme Court held that Parliament has no power to curtail fundamental rights. Secondly, it says that the Article 368 only talks about the procedure to amend the Constitution and it does not agree that it contains power to amend the Constitution itself. Thirdly, it also stressed that Article 13, subclause 2 of the Constitution says The parliament could not make any law that abridges fundamental rights, and a constitutional amendment being also a ordinary law within the meaning of article 13 could not be in violation of any fundamental right. So, these are the three major judgments given by the Supreme Court in the Golaknath case. First of all, Parliament has no power to curtail fundamental rights. Secondly, Article 368 only explains the procedure to amend the Constitution. And thirdly, according to Article 13, subclause 2, Parliament could not make any law that abridges fundamental rights. And in this judgment, the Supreme Court also gave the doctrine of prospective overruling. So, as per this doctrine, this law is applicable on future dates only, and past decisions will not be affected by this judgment. So, this is all. Thank you.